Hello everybody, Medi here, finally making our way to Generation 3 ROM hacks, and I can't tell you how excited I am to be entering a whole new world of hacks. I mean seriously, there are so many hacks that exist here that it was actually very difficult to choose which ones to go over, especially which one to start out with. Thankfully, some of you have recommended a couple hacks to check out, and I can safely say that my list for Generation 3 hacks is full of some great ones because of you all. So thank you again to those who commented recommendations to me. Now, I know in my Fool's Gold review I said I'd be heading to the Hoenn region for the start of Gen 3, but unfortunately I got sidetracked by a Firered hack that caught my attention. Plus, the hack I was originally going to check out turned out to only be like 10 minutes long due to it being based on a demo in 2002. Anyways, the hack I did settle on as my first Gen 3 hack I would review is a hack that features a good amount of its own original content, that hack being Pokemon Dreams version by Monopoly Rubik's. As I said before, Pokemon Dreams version is a hack of Pokemon Firered. The hack itself features a completely original region filled with both familiar and new faces to see, as well as a brand new story to experience. It also sports its own array of custom sprites for both the people and the new Pokemon, giving the hack its own identity and highlighting its personality. There are also several features from future Pokemon games, modernizing the gameplay as a whole. Let's check out the hack starting with the new region, Solda. As I said in my Peridot review, I'm always a big fan of custom regions and the work that goes into making them. I also have a feeling that I'm going to be seeing a lot of custom regions in the many Gen 3 hacks I review, so I'm very excited about that. Anyways, Pokemon Dreams version features its very own unique region named Solda, which I thoroughly enjoyed. The region itself features some of your standard elements like a wide variety of places to explore, characters to meet, and Pokemon to find, but with its own unique touches and the content that makes it truly stand out. Let's start with the region itself and all the different places you'll see throughout your journey. Just like your standard Pokemon region, Solda features a great abundance of towns and cities to visit, dungeons to explore, and landmarks to discover. The region itself also features plenty of themes to see that help add variety to the region itself and giving the Pokemon you can find in their proper habitats. You have some of your Pokemon standards like a desert complete with its very own sandstorm, and your lush forest filled with bug Pokemon crawling about. One of my favorite areas would have to be the Scrapyard though, where a lot of object-like Pokemon make their home, as well as a couple of trainers who like to hang out there, waiting for any unsuspecting challengers. I've always been a big fan of rundown areas that show the effect of time and remnants of places that once were. Heck, one of my favorite locations in the mainline Pokemon games is the Dreamyard because it's supposed to be the remnants of a research facility that no longer exists and is now overran with Pokemon. The same thing goes with why I love Pokemon Island from Pokemon Snap so much, because it has several rundown and abandoned areas that point to a previous human presence there, and now it's just filled with Pokemon. So seeing a place like that in Solda is a big plus for me. For the towns of Solda, most of them are your typical towns you would see in any Pokemon game, filled with plenty of people to talk to, services to use, and maybe a gym to challenge. But a city that really stuck with me was actually the first town you visit as you arrive in Solda, Centralis City. What I love most about this city is that it acts as the central point of the region itself, where you can find just about everything. Heck, that's probably why it's called Centralis City. And when I said everything, I mean everything. Move tutors, the move deleter, name raider, different shops for specific items, and extra options to change the way the hack plays. I really love this because it makes it so much easier to know where to go when you need such services, rather than remembering which person is in which town. I also love how it is the first town you visit, so you know where everything is as soon as you start your adventure. As for the dungeons within the region, they're all unique in their own right, with some of them providing ideas I have not seen yet. Like Ice Team Cave, a cave that not only features several ice puzzles and chilly Pokemon to encounter, but also has a layer underneath filled with bubbling hot magma and fiery Pokemon. Not only is this a very unique dungeon idea, but it also foreshadows the up and coming gym leaders within the next town. There are also plenty of dungeons that you have to explore that provide a great amount of world building to Solda, adding to the region's lore. Another thing I really liked about Dreams is the map design in Solda, especially with how all the routes feel a lot more natural than the original games. What I mean by this is that most routes in the region don't feature the Pokemon standard of patches of tall grass where all the Pokemon are forced to hide, but more or less areas where the tall grass is spread out with gaps in between them. And as much as the patches of tall grass we have in the mainline series are a staple, it also just feels very fabricated at times. Like someone cut the grass to fit the rectangular shape it is in, making it feel like the Pokemon aren't allowed to freely roam the routes they call home. So it's nice to see these areas feature more natural looking layouts. But speaking of the Pokemon, let's see the Pokemon that reside here in Solda, and the changes that Dreams gives them. Pokemon Dreams versions features a great amount of familiar faces for the Pokemon that go up to Generation 7, as well as the regional forms from said generations. However, I guess my statement might have been a bit misleading. When I said it features a great amount of familiar faces, I meant to say that all the familiar faces of Pokemon up to Generation 7, meaning that there are over 800 Pokemon in this hack. And yes, if you really wanted to, you can catch them all. Thankfully, there are some resources to help with that, but more on that later. Dreams also features 35 of its own original Pokemon, further adding to the roster, and I actually enjoyed the ones I encountered throughout my playthrough and never found them too powerful nor too weak. Each of them fits their role well, with some of them even taking on typings that are exclusive to forms of other Pokemon. I also really like their designs, and I think they fit well with all the other Pokemon. Along with including Pokemon up to Gen 7, Dreams also includes all the moves up to that generation, meaning that all the Pokemon have their learn sets from Gen 7 and that they have a wide variety of TMs to be taught, as well as the previously mentioned move tutors that can teach egg moves or relearn moves that you may have forgotten. The physical special split also makes an appearance here, but at this point I have a feeling that almost all the hacks I'll be going over in the future will probably feature the split. But I'll still mention it just in case I run into a hack that doesn't. Dreams also includes Mega Evolution, and what a great time to play it since ZA just came out. But don't expect any Megas from there since this hack came out in 2020. Just expect all the Megas that we know about. But also, it does add in some new Megas within the hack. Some of these new Mega Evolutions are for the original 35 Pokemon I mentioned earlier, again helping them fit in with all the other Pokemon in the game. Thankfully, you don't find the Mega Stones until the late game, nor do any of your opponents use them until then as well. So there's no worry about steamrolling your enemies or being brutally crushed by them. I also really love the sprite work of the Megas here, and they all look wonderful in the Gen 3 style. Now earlier, I mentioned resources that can help you catch all the Pokemon within the hack if you really wanted to. I mean, of course you'll always have the Pokédex, and I mean it really wouldn't be a Pokemon game without it. However, there is one issue with it that I noticed. When looking at the location for a Pokemon, it shows the Kanto region rather than Solda. I did play the 1.5.1 version, and I don't know if that's an older version of the hack, or if something just might have got lost in translation. Despite that though, there is another tool that is really helpful for finding and catching Pokemon, the Dexnav. The Dexnav within this hack functions very similar to the Dexnav from Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, where you can search for a specific Pokemon within the route you are currently in. The more times you encounter the Pokemon, the higher the chance it can have better IVs, have its hidden ability, and possess an egg move, or even be a shiny. And I gotta say, the Dexnav is wonderful here, because it makes it really easy to find the specific Pokemon you're looking for, as well as being able to find it with some great stats or moves. While taking place in its own region, Pokemon Dreams also features a brand new story to be a part of and watch unfold, featuring some of your Pokemon standards like an evil team with their own ambitions and goals, as well as friends and rivals to share your journey with, creating a true Pokemon experience to enjoy with its own set of twists and turns. First off, I really enjoy how this hack starts, and how you first arrive in Solda as a traveling trainer eager to explore the new territory. Kinda like how Ruby and Sapphire and Emerald put you in the shoes of someone first moving into a brand new world. It really adds to that sense of entering an unknown world that you aren't familiar with, and I really enjoy that immersion it provides. I mean, we are literally in the same position as the character we're playing as. Anyways, Dreams also features a pretty unique feature having you start with your very own shiny Eevee, rather than having to wait to obtain a starter to be introduced into the world of Pokemon. I really like this decision because it's kind of like the hack welcoming you to a new region, but also being aware that you experienced the world of Pokemon before, despite featuring the whole welcome to the world of Pokemon speech at the beginning that every game has. But that's a staple, so it's kind of required. As you first enter Solda and visit the Pokemon Lab though, the story immediately starts up with the appearance of Team Coil, the main antagonist of this hack. At first, Team Coil matches the energy of Team Rocket, causing mischief throughout the region, being just general nuisances, but later will become more and more of a threat in your journey as you face off against the admins of Team Coil, finding out their true intentions are to awaken the legendary Sky Serpent to become the strongest force in Solda. And of course it's up to us and our friends to stop them. I actually do like Team Coil overall, and I like how they aren't taken seriously at first, but as you dive deeper into their inner workings, as well as foil more and more of their plans, they start becoming a lot more threatening, with them taking hostages and even working with other gangs. Heck, even the police actually get involved, with Looker making an appearance, helping you stop their plans. I also really like how they stick to a general theme with all their Pokemon, with every member using Serpent-like Pokemon to match their team name. It's a very neat touch overall. The hack also features some great characters that have some wonderful development, so they feel a lot more three-dimensional rather than just a bunch of cookie-cutter archetypes that you just find boring. The main example being your rival in the hack, who has a couple similarities to Bianca from Black and White, with both characters aspiring to become Pokemon trainers. However, their parents don't really want them to be in danger on such a venture. Of course, just like Bianca's dad, your rival's parents will be convinced to allow their son to go on such a quest, asking you to keep a watchful eye on them. And throughout your encounters with your rival, you get to hear more and more about how deeply he cares for his family and how he wants to become a strong trainer due to an event that happened in his past, in which he blames himself for. I really like how you learn more and more about the rival's family and his love for them, because you are basically by yourself in this hack. I mean, you literally arrive in the Solda region with just you and your Eevee, no family, no friends, just you and your Pokemon. And later it would start to feel like your rival's family will become more and more like your own family, but them entrusting you and encouraging their son to strive for higher and higher goals. I honestly think that's cute, and I love the rival for that very reason. Some other examples of great character development are actually some of the admins within Team Coil due to some of the internal issues between them and two of the leaders of Team Coil. I won't go into too much detail, but let's just say some of them aren't too excited about awakening the Sky Serpent as the leaders are, so their allegiance to the team starts to wane, making them favor you a bit more. Lastly, you actually have the professor of the game, Professor Conifer, who is a lot more involved in the story than most professors are, making several appearances throughout your journey and even challenging you to a battle, which I found very shocking. They also help you quite a bit during the fight against Team Coil due to some history he has with one of their members. Of course, I really like that Conifer is active in the story, because I also really liked it when both Oak and Blue were a bit involved in the story of the Gold and Silver 97 demo, instead of just sitting in the lab chilling. And while there isn't anything wrong with that, it's nice to see the professors be engaged in the action, considering all the way back in Red and Blue, we were told on multiple occasions that Oak was apparently a trainer before becoming a professor. So it's nice seeing them show up both their knowledge and skill on the field. Of course, there are many more characters that have plenty of personality, like the gym leaders and other admins of Team Coil, but I think it's best if I don't spoil too much. But I very much appreciated all of the characters having a decent amount of depth to them, so I can feel truly engaged with the story the hack has to offer. Now, you've all probably noticed the abundance of custom sprite work within this hack and are wondering why I haven't talked about it yet. Well, to tell you the truth, is because I couldn't really fit it in with the subjects I was talking about before without it feeling out of place. So that's why I'm mentioning it here. Pokemon Dreams versions features what feels like its own art style for both the new characters and the new Pokemon within the hack. And sure, the style itself does closely match that of Gen 3, but there's something endearing about it and how it makes the hack feel more unique than others, cementing its own identity. Next up on some of the new things this hack adds is actually something I really enjoyed. As someone who's only played Pokemon Colosseum once, and in Japanese since I only own a Japanese copy, I really enjoyed the Colosseums making an appearance here, with all the same rule sets from the original game being double battles only. You can also challenge them multiple times, with the prize becoming better and better until the 5th time where the prize is just an orange berry for each completion after. But if you need the experience or just love doing them, you're always welcome to participate them as much as you want. The hack also includes the Rider class, making the Colosseums truly feel a part of Solda. And there's also another character from Pokemon Colosseum that makes an appearance, but I'll let you see them for yourself. The last extra feature I want to mention is how the hack allows you to really play the way you want to. If it wasn't obvious from the gameplay footage I showed in the video so far, I was kinda over leveled for the whole hack. And while it didn't really take away from the overall experience, there were times that I did wish that I was limited through a level cap. But that's the thing, I chose to be over leveled, when I could have easily just not have. And I know some people might say that the hack is unbalanced, and to you all I had to say that, yes it is. The notes for the hack even state that the hack is unbalanced with all the features it includes, but it also states that you can make the adventure as easy or as difficult as you would like with any self-imposed rules, or by utilizing the different NPCs in Centralis City to apply any gimmicks to the hack. And that's what I love about this hack. Not only is the creator honest about the hack being a bit imbalanced, but also that they are carrying on the spirit of Pokemon fans through self-regulations. I mean, when you think about it, most hacks exist due to self-made challenges like Nuzlocke that dates back to 2010, encouraging more and more Pokemon fans to play the games they want to play them, whether it be the way that the Pokemon Company intended, or by imposing self-made restrictions, allowing players to have the freedom to enjoy the adventure the way they desire. Still, I really wish I wasn't over-leveled. While it wasn't the original plan I had for my first Generation 3 hack, I still really enjoyed my time with Pokemon Dreams. I enjoyed what the region of Solda had to offer and all the 844 Pokemon within it. I thought the story itself was very captivating and I was really satisfied with its conclusion. I loved all the characters and honestly became attached to some of them throughout my journey, and I just really enjoyed all the extra content that the hack included, making the adventure all the more enjoyable. Pokemon Dreams version is a hack that I believe was created with pure passion, and I think Monopoly Rubik's did a fantastic job with this hack. I would highly recommend a playthrough of this hack, and hey, you can always play it however you would like to. Meta out.